Hello guys, welcome to another screencast that I'm going to be doing a full series on Apple's OS X server. I'm going to be using the Lion edition, but I've been told that most features do work the same for Mountain Lion. So let's get cracking. Obviously I haven't managed to get everything working on my server, so I'm just going to talk you through a couple of workarounds that I found. I'm going to hopefully go through most of the services. Through this series, however long it takes, I'm going to be looking through connecting client computers, connecting Mountain Lion to the Lion server, which I used to have a bit of trouble with. Okay, so let's make... at the moment I'm going to be using the actual server through Apple Remote Desktop. I'm using iMac at the moment, and that's going to be the client computer. Okay. So at the moment I'm just going to assume you've all bought the server app from the App Store or from Apple, wherever. Obviously now Mountain Lion's out, you can't actually get, of my knowledge, you can't actually get Lion server anymore. But I'm sure I'll be able to find it somewhere on Apple. Okay, so let's get cracking on. Firstly, this is the Lion interface of server. So let's just go through what we have. We've got the account section, users. That's basically users of the account. We've got groups. Go into more detail through each of the series. Got groups. Yep. We've got all the statuses, which basically tells you alerts like updates, or if somebody has changed something, or if somebody's attempting to access something. We have logs. Now our logs are basically just, it records absolutely everything that happens on your server. It says that on the bottom right, getting log content for web server. Yeah, so it's absolutely everything. We have the stats, which is basically just a couple of graphs telling you exactly the amount of usage, the amount of CPU used on the server, and you can select what you want to do. You can either use processor usage, memory/RAM usage, or the network traffic in the past however many hours. You can either do it in between 1 hour to 7 days, right? Okay, so at the moment, as we can see here, in the past 4 hours, around 80% of the processor usage is being used. Now I haven't been using the server at all. Okay, so first let's want to have a look at what the Mac is, firstly, yeah? Just so you can get an idea. Obviously it's not going to be a full idea, but might get a little bit of a glimpse at how quick the server is going to be. Obviously I'm using Apple Remote Desktop, so it might look a bit glitchy like there, moving the window around a little slow, so that's my Ethernet network. Okay, so let's just have a look at about this Mac. So just take a look at my preferences. This is Mac OS X version 10.7.5 on a 1.8 GHz Intel Core TDUA processor using 2 GB of DDR2 SD RAM. Okay, looking at more info, just to let you guys know, obviously completely no use to you whatsoever, but so you know. Okay, that's not going to load. Okay, so let's go through the services. We have Address Book. Yeah, that's, oh, here we are. It's a Mac Pro early 2008. Oh, actually, it's not an early 2008, but oh well. We have Address Book and the services. That's basically, you set it up on your iPad, your iPhone, your Macs, Mountain Lion, whatever, and it'll sync all the address books. That is included in iCloud. So for home users, iCloud is going to be more than satisfactory for it. But for business users using a proper server rather than iCloud, which will need an Apple ID, so you might not want people knowing your Apple ID, user ID and password. So that's more for corporate use. I'm going to be looking at corporate and home users. We have file sharing. Now file sharing, to me, is one out of the 1 or 2 main features in server. It's the feature that I use mostly. It's basically a select SharePoint. It is actually available just in system prefs. You don't need server for standard file sharing. In system prefs, yeah, it is literally sharing and file sharing. So you don't actually need server. If all you want to do is file share with your local network, you don't need server. Alright? Okay, obviously I'm telling you that too late, but it's true. So really, when I set file sharing up on my server, yeah, it will automatically appear in sharing in system prefs. So I've got this here. Let's have a look. We double click on the share to view the access. At the moment, Apple OS X server is my admin user. You can see up here. System admin, administrator, and everybody else is read only. We have the name that we can change, and this little thing views the files in the Finder. You can share with Mac clients, AFP, yeah? Okay, with Windows clients, SMB, yeah? So that's one thing to remember. Okay. Simple as Apple, AFP, file sharing, Microsoft, SMB, yeah? iOS devices generally use something called WebDAV, which actually I will enable. Guest access just means you won't have a user ID and password. Make available on home directories, yeah? That basically means it will be available for your home folder, which I'm going to go in a bit more detail later. That can be only over one type of network. So you either have to be using all Macs or all Windows, yeah? And that's only if you wanted to log in. File sharing obviously works for both, as I've set it here. We have iCal. Now iCal is different to what you might think. Obviously in Mountain Lion they've just renamed it to Calendar. But actually, inline server is still referred to as iCal. Now iCal is obviously a calendar. iCal server, however, is a completely different kettle of fish. Basically, iCal is a server you connect to your calendar on your iPad or on your Mac or on your iPhone. Where you can this is more for corporate use, but you could use it for home as well. You set up locations and resources. So say if you had conference room A, B and C, you would set them up here, so I've set up living room. So if somebody wants to book out conference room B between 11 and 12 AM to PM, they could just literally book it on their iPad and it would appear on everybody else's iPad, everybody else's Apple device, that conference room B is booked between those times. And you can also do it with resources, such as, say, for instance, in a school with 30 iPads, a teacher books out 10 iPads for between 10 past 11 and 10 past 12. You wouldn't have to go there to reserve an iPad, you could just do it on your Apple device. Just reserve the device and come and collect it at those times. So nobody else will be able to book those devices since you've already booked them out on the iCal server. Now then, next is iChat. I haven't started with iChat because I'm not sure about it. Because now OS X Mountain Lion is out, I'm not sure how well iChat server will incorporate with the Messages app and iMessage, yeah? Because I have Mountain Lion on the iMac and on my MacBook Air, obviously Lion on the server. So I don't know how well it works. I'm going to try and set it up and try and connect later in the series. However, I may not post it on YouTube if I can't get it to work. Mail is next. Right. Mail, extremely difficult to set up. It's something you need to work out with your ISP, your mail provider, yeah, to get it working. It's very difficult to set up. I think this, I will go into hopefully go into further detail about mail towards the end of the series, purely because I haven't figured it out yet. It's very difficult, seriously. If you guys have any idea how to set it up, maybe with one.com, please post below because I don't have a clue. Okay, podcast. Podcasts, it's an awesome feature, yeah? It works with the wiki, it works on your site, it works with everything, yeah? On Lion server, it's a separate app that you download free from support.apple /downloads. Yeah, server admin tools. With Mountain Lion, you set it up directly in the server app. Alright? Podcast is simple. Yeah, it's basically what I'm doing now. Recording. Profile Manager. Scratch the head, it's confusing. It's not that hard. Yeah, once you've got it working, it's really easy to do, right? It's the setting up that's difficult, but once it's there, it's amazing, yeah? What it basically does is it takes control of your devices. I'm going to go to the idea of having iPads in a school again, yeah? If you decide, you have 40 iPads in a school, yeah? If you decide you want the app Angry Birds, yeah? On all of the iPads, yeah? All you would have to do is download Angry Birds from the App Store, install the app Angry Birds into Profile Manager and click Go, and it will wirelessly put the app Angry Birds onto every single iPad wirelessly, yeah? Now that can also be set up via web. I'm going to go into web pretty soon, yeah? What web does is there's a profile manager thing on the web, so teachers can literally go from their computers into Internet Explorer, Safari or Firefox or Chrome or whatever, go to the server site and just say between iPad 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, stick these 3 apps on, yeah? Then all they have to do to remove them at the end of the lesson is just go onto the website and get rid of it wirelessly. And lock them in an app wirelessly. It's amazing. So much quicker. I've noticed in art, yeah, there's a lot of arty apps that can really pull kids off task in, say, maths or science. So it's a really cool feature just to be able to control what apps are available to use straight from your web browser, right? So again, that could be on Windows just because it's a web browser. Time Machine next. Okay, Time Machine, probably all heard of Time Machine if you're a Mac user. It's called Backups. Time Machine backs up your device to another thing, like a portable hard drive or some other portable media. Basically, if it goes down. Now, Time Machine on the server basically will back up all of your Macs. Yeah. I don't think iPads. I'll be going. iPads are done remotely using iTunes, which is turned into sort of a secondary server. We'll go through later. I don't think Windows, but Macs. If you've got Macs all over the place, they can be backed up to one single place on your server. VPN, Virtual Private Network. I think it's the only one that actually looks scary when you click on it, because it does. It looks blooming confusing. L2TP, what else does that mean? I'm trying to get a bit of the gist of it, obviously. I'm determined to get it working out, and it will be coming later on in the series. It's basically when you're outside of your network, you can connect to your server as though you were in the local network. 100% securely. Virtual private network. It's completely private. Yeah? Web. OS X server can host as many websites as you can handle. Yeah? At the moment, this is just the wiki server. My server is hosted at apple.adventechworldwide.com. Yeah? So if you want to have a look at the wiki server, head over to apple.adventechworldwide.com. If it's down, it's because I've either got the server turned off or I'm updating it. Right. Okay. Basically, also, you can host as many as you want. Yeah? I could have my wiki server running, so I'm going to go on to next. I can have my mate's site running on this, just so they don't have to pay for their fees. I could have anything on here. I could have hundreds of sites. Obviously, my computer might not be powerful enough to host that much traffic. Obviously, you might want to also check in on your ISP. If you've got a very basic broadband package with your ISP, such as Virgin Media or BT, then you might want to have a look at upgrading to another account. Also, most home ISPs, most home broadbands, have a dynamic DNS. Yeah, just quickly I'm going to mention That basically means every time your router gets turned off, yep, when you turn it back on again, your public IP address changes. So you're going to have to everywhere you tell your server or your router your IP address, or your domain name provider your IP address, your public one. Then every time you reboot or after a power cut, you're going to have to go to every single place and change it. So if it's a website that's going to be used 24/7, you can't have any downtime, you are going to have to get to your ISP and upgrade to a business account. Make sure you get a static IP address. Yeah. Next is Wiki, which kind of intermingles with this apple.advancedworldwide.com. So check that one on here. Wiki's probably the most well-known wiki on the planet is Wikipedia. Wiki is basically a site where people can share information, anybody can edit it. Yeah. Obviously, OSX server likes to store it for you. You can either have everybody being able to access it or just some users, which you normally just do with groups, or you can just add single people like Chris. Yeah? I'm just going to cancel and leave it at all users. Your hardware. In OSX server, this is moved to the top. Because Apple like to move things around, just like Sainsbury's. Okay, this is your hardware. Yep, if I had like a AirPort Extreme or other things like that, it would be coming under here too. But at the moment, I just have my server. Now this is where you set up your server, right? Tell you exactly what you've got, just like about my Mac. I think it's a Mac Pro running on 1.8 gigahertz on Intel Core 2 Duo. Gives you the serial number, gives you a storage, that's a storage of all your devices. It will include memory sticks that are plugged into it, it'll include all your hard drives that it can read, it will include portable hard drives, everything that's wired connected. Yeah? Memory, which is RAM, which is 2 gigs. Right, your startup disk gives you all that, system version, and how long it's been running for. At the moment my server's been running for nearly 2 days. If you turn it off now and again, obviously it'll reset itself. Access. Allow remote login through SSH, that's mainly doing it through the terminal, yeah? If you've got some very techie people who like to do all this stuff, and you're happy with them getting into it, allow it. If you're not quite so knowledgeable about it, and there's some people out there that's going to be using your server that might be a little more techie than you are, I would make sure you leave it off, because that would be leaving it a bit vulnerable to people who might just be able to wander in, because you don't know much about SSH. I would recommend searching YouTube how to do SSH, because I may touch upon it in this series, but I won't be going into too much depth about it. Okay. Enable screen sharing and remote management. That's checked, because that's what I'm using now. Yeah? I'm using an iMac now, but I'm controlling my Mac Pro. Yeah? That basically makes sure you can remote admin this server using server and server admin. So that basically means if I'm on my MacBook Air like I am now, I can head over to, I can install a server app on here, and instead of having another server on here, I can just control the server from the Mac, from the Mac Pro. Dedicate system resources to server services. Now, I would strongly recommend, if you're having a server, don't use it as a normal computer. Have it specifically for the server. Yeah? Now, the reason I haven't checked this, now it will make it a lot faster. Yeah? But the reason I haven't checked this is if it dedicates most of the system resources to this server app, I'm also sharing my iTunes library to my Apple TVs around the house. So obviously, if I dedicate all the system resources, or most of the system resources, to the server app and the server admin tools, then I don't know how much, but the iTunes will be slower because there's not as much system to run it on. Apple push notifications, yeah? This basically allows, instead of all your devices having to all the time be pinging your server to see if anything's changed, see if anything's edited, see if any documents have been edited, Apple push notifications will just push the information to your devices, so it doesn't need to keep looking at it, yeah? If you have mail set up especially, your ISP might see it as a hacker trying to get in if you don't have Apple push notifications on. because you will see lots of devices trying to get into your emails all of the time. So your ISP may contact you saying somebody is accessing your emails every 2 minutes. Is there something wrong? To set Apple push notifications up, you will need an Apple ID. But it's not paid for or anything. You just need a standard Apple ID. And then it will create a certificate for you and install it automatically. You don't need to do anything with that. SSL. Right, SSL secure. I think you need it for Profile Manager, but could be wrong. I'm definitely coming back to that later. That's confusing. Service data, that's basically where all your main files are stored. Going over to network. This is how you connect to your server. Computer name is Apple OS X server. Yeah. Host name, how you get to my server is apple.advancedworldwide.com. We'll be coming to that later. And you can. These are the interfaces. It's connected via Ethernet. This is my local IP address. I'm not bothered about you knowing it. It's local. Okay. Obviously, in local, some domain names don't allow you to access. If say I'm hosting apple.advancedworldwide.com on my server. Now, I don't know whether this is the domain name provider, but I think it might be, because I can't go onto Safari on my MacBook Air on the same network and go to apple.advancedworldwide.com. It doesn't like it. So I have to type in the local IP address for some reason. Obviously, I'll be coming back to everything in much greater detail as the series goes on. Storage. This is... Oh, actually, don't need that. Eject that. Now it should disappear in a second. Maybe it's time to update itself. Okay, at the moment I have lots of different partitions on my hard drive. These are going to be cleared up a bit. This is the single operating system. It tells you how much is left and what's going on. Yeah. So there's a few partitions. Yeah. It just basically tells you what's happening on each device, and it lets you browse them. Yep. And as a summary, I think that's about it. Obviously, you can create a new folder and edit permissions for it all. So you do get complete admin access very quickly from server admin. You don't have to do it all through Finder. Basically, quite a lot of a few of the server things like file sharing and permissions and stuff can be done via other things such as Finder and system pref sharing, file sharing, but the server likes to bring it all into one, so I need a few apps to do it in. Okay, so now I think we've looked through more or less everything, but I'm just going to go through what the Getting Started Guide is before I leave you. This obviously is just an introduction to the series. I'll be doing more as soon as possible, ASAP. Okay, so this is Apple Getting Started. I've never read it. Okay, so the next step suggests some common tasks to perform before you start using your server. This is basically what I'm going through in much more detail, so it's much more easy to understand. Click the buttons on the left to see what to do next. Okay, configure network. Been through network just a little bit. Basically, it just tells you how to access your network, adding users so people can access it. Get some certificates. You can either purchase one, or I'm going to show you how to sign it yourself. And probably that is when you sign it yourself, it's not done by anybody third party saying I vouch for this and it's okay. So people might get one message when they're accessing it saying I don't know whether to trust this server, it's not being signed properly, but they can say yes if people know your server. If it's corporate, you probably want to buy one, because people going into your website saying oh heck, they haven't bought anything. Okay, so start services. Your Mac at the moment provides these services that I've got turned on, which are suggested by this little green dot here. Right, I've got mail server, profile manager, wiki server, web server, file server, and iCal server. Right? Okay. Doesn't mean to say that all of those work. Just means to say they're turned on. Manage devices. That basically means that this is how you run on devices and add trust profiles to your devices. And the real way that you do that is once you've set up your domain name or your local IP address, go to whatever that is, /my devices. I'm going to show you that now. Okay, so at the moment I'm going to apple.advancedworldwide.com/my devices. right? It should actually log on using our admin username, ID, and password. So you install your profile. You have to install a trust profile, and the settings for everyone is just your settings. You can add others. Then go to and enroll your devices. Now at the moment it says Dismax. I've already enrolled it. From your website, you can then lock it or wipe it if it's nicked. Right? Obviously, it's probably less likely that somebody's going to nick a Mac Pro, but they might nick MacBook Air. So obviously, with a MacBook Air, using Find My iPhone, then you can make it make a very loud sound. Obviously, using this server online server at the moment, you can just lock it and wipe it, and obviously log out. Okay, so I think that concludes this introduction video to the series on OS X Server 10.7 Lion. I hope you'll continue. I hope you'll think it's worth watching. Just to let you know, I think most tutorials will be about this length. Please stick around and keep watching for new ones. If you subscribe, I think YouTube sends you an email saying a new one's been posted. Thank you for watching. How do you pause this now? What have I done?